I am back with another video. I am feeling so excited for these Easter holidays and I hope you guys are too. If you want a video about being productive and planning your Easter holidays, just check out my video, link in the bio, or I'll put it in the information bar. But today I've decided to film a part 2 to my Ucas experience video. So as you can tell, I am in a change of clothes. I was looking over the footage for the part 2 that I'd already filmed and I was waffling quite a bit, so I thought I'd re-film it and make it more concise and clear for you guys. So let's get into the video. So in the previous video, I've gone over my decisions, how and why I chose to apply for medicine. I went over my UCAT, so that's the admissions test. I went over the Ucas process, so my personal statement, actually submitting my Ucas and the decisions for the universities I applied to. And in this video, I'm going to speak about my Bmat, so that's my second admissions test, and I'm going to speak about my interviews and my offers. So I'm going to try and make this as chronological as I can. First thing was that I sat my Bmat, and this was done on the 31st of October, so Halloween day. This was 2 weeks after my Ucas deadline. I sat this in school, and compared to the UCAT, I found the Bmat incredibly harder. The reason being is that it was more of an academic test. Bmat stands for Biomedical Admissions Test. Yes, Biomedical Admissions Test. And compared to the UCAT, which is the UK Clinical Aptitude Test, UCAT is way more clinical and the Bmat is way more academic. As expected, the Bmat is used by your more academic universities, so that's Oxford, Imperial, UCL, Cambridge, so all these top universities and a few others use the Bmat. So in addition to it being a harder test, I also had ongoing stress at school. So the UCAT was sat during the summer and I could focus solely on the UCAT. Sorry, I'm gonna do it. Whereas my Bmat was sat on the 31st of October during term time. On the day of the actual test, I was super scared. It was only me and another girl who were actually sitting it. She was sitting the TSA, Thinking Skills Assessment for Economics and Management, and I was sitting the Bmat. It's quite scary, but I survived. I went onto the student room when I got home and I was literally so demoralised. Scrolling through the student room and all I can see is, yeah, so what did you put for question 1A? I put C. I put F. So after going on the student room, my paranoia started to kick in. So on the 23rd of November, I received my results for my Bmat. I'll insert a video of my reaction. Oh. Okay, so in section 1, I got 5.3, really bad. Science, I got 5, and writing test got 3.58, which is okay. Yeah, so they're my results. Hopefully, I just need to get an interview, man. I don't think I'll get an interview with this. So as you can tell, I wasn't too happy with my results. In my head, I needed a certain grade or a certain mark to make a competitive application for Oxford and for Imperial, and I just hadn't got it. I was aiming for at least a 6 in both sections and a 4 in section C, but I didn't get that, as you can see, so I was quite disappointed, but in the end I found out that I actually scored above average, because this year the Bmat was much harder and nationally people did worse this year. So yeah, so I sent off my application on the 5th of October, and in terms of my non-medical offers, the first offer I got was actually from Warwick University to study chemistry, and this was a BBB, and compared to the website, BBB was much lower than AAA. So I realized that they'd offered me a contextual offer, which basically means that they take into consideration your local school that you attend to, or your area, your postcode, and they calculate the percentage of people that go on to progress to higher education, and they contextualize your offer basically. If you're in an area of low progression, they give you lower grades. If you're in an area of high progression, they give you the standard offer. Let's get onto my interviews. I'll try to make this as chronological as possible. My first interview invite was actually on the 13th of November. I was literally so happy that King's College London had given me an interview. You just get that feeling of validation and like happy, like closer to fulfilling my dream of medicine at university. And this was for the 28th of November, so 2 weeks later. As I'd been so focused on my BMAT and on my A-levels, I hadn't had much time to prepare for my interview. So from that day of the 13th of November, every single day I was grinding. I was going through my interview prep books. I was reading my personal statement over and over. I was reading the book that I put in my personal statement. I was watching interview videos online. So I was on game. On the day of my interview on the 20th of November, I went down to London with my mom, and it was an MMI, which is a multiple mini interview. So there were 7 stations, 7 minutes long, and I'm just gonna tell you that I did not like that interview. I thought I failed. I literally walked out of the interview. My mum was waiting in the reception. She asked, "How was your interview?" And I was like, "Mum, let's go. Let's not talk about it." So for the rest of that day, and actually for the rest of that week, I was just so demoralized. The next invite that I got was actually from Oxford. So this was the day before my King's College interview. So they gave me an interview on the 27th of November, and this was set to be for the 8th to the 9th of December at Oxford University. Nice thing about Oxford is that they allow you to stay over for 2 days during the interview process. You get to live in the life of a student for those 2 days. So it's quite nice. And that actually gave me a confidence boost on the 27th of November. As you can tell, I was quite worried about my BMAT score, so getting that interview just proved that although it wasn't the best BMAT score, it was on the 8th and the 9th, and I really actually enjoyed it because I met like the best people, and socially I had a really nice time there. Now in terms of the actual interviews themselves, it's a little bit I had 4 interviews. Each of them were 20 minutes long, and 2 of them were at Brasenose, 2 of them were at a separate college. Very academically challenging, just as expected, and I left feeling like my brain had just done a 2-hour test or something. They force you to think at a deeper and more intelligent level. But if you guys want a video on my interview process, and I also have footage from it, just comment down in the comment section. Next thing is that I got an invitation for an interview at Imperial College London. This was on the 18th of December, and unlike the other invites, this was a self-select. So they gave me the liberty of selecting my own date. Me and my stupid head, I selected 2 months later, 26th of February. At that point, I'd literally took off my Ucas interview hat and I put on my focus on A-level hat. Looking back in retrospect, I should have picked an earlier date, closer to December. So on the 27th of February, I went down to Imperial College London and I had my interview. Again, I did not enjoy it. So to make it worse, it was a panel interview, so 4 people were interviewing me, and the room, it just looked so like clinical. It was just so white, and like the walls were white, and it was quite intimidating. So those were all my interviews. Again, Edinburgh don't interview. So moving on to my decisions, as I was saying before, my first decision, which was non-medical, was Warwick University. They offered me 3 Bs, and this was on the 15th of October. My next decision was from King's College London. So this was the university that I left just feeling so crappy. I actually ended up getting an offer, God knows how. I got my offer on the 18th of December, so 2 weeks after the interview, and I was jumping around like the craziest person ever. I was happy. I was like, praise God, hallelujah. Now my next decision is Oxford. This was the big decision. 9th of January comes around after New Year's Day, so everyone's happy for New Year's Day, everyone's celebrating, but in my head all I can think about is the 9th of January. I have a funny story of how I actually found out my decision. I was basically in an assembly about not using your phones in school, about sixth formers setting a good example. And it's quite ironic because my teacher came up to me and she was like, Francesca, have you found out yet? And I was like, no, like I really want to, but like just kept tapping me like check. And I was like, Miss, can I? She's like, yes. So I literally pulled out my phone in this assembly about no phones, and I literally checked my emails. There was no email there, and she was like, check Ucas track. I checked Ucas track, and I was scrolling through it, and it said 3 out of 5 of your decisions have been made. Bear in mind, the day before it'd only been 2 decisions, and I was like, so I scrolled through it. At the top it says offers, and at the bottom it says rejections, your offer's been withdrawn or you've been declined. Kept scrolling, and then I see Oxford University have given you a conditional offer. Honestly, I was so happy. I literally was running around school like with the biggest smile. Like, I told my friends, and she told everyone. I was just so happy. Even when it was my head teacher, God knows what I was on. I literally ran up to his office like, I got an offer! And he like shook my hand. So then I came home, and this was in the post. Let me hide my address. This was in the post from Brasenose College, and it was considerably thick. And I'd been watching so many like decisions videos the days leading up to the decision day, and they were saying that if your envelope comes and it's quite thin, it probably means you've been rejected because they don't have much to say. But mine was super thick, and it had like this whole pack about fees and funding. It had a prospectus. So this is the actual letter from Brasenose College, and it says, on behalf of Brasenose, I am delighted to offer you a place to read medicine, a 6-year course. They want me to achieve an A star AA at A level, etc. So I was the happiest bunny. My parents were running. When I tell you, my parents were parading around the streets of my city. Me, this, like, my Bmat went badly, but I got an offer. Like, I just felt so humbled, and I was just so shocked. Like, I was just sat there like refreshing Ucas, like just to double check. Thank God for all the teachers that helped me to get to that stage, because God knows where I would have been without my Ucas coordinator, without my friends who were supporting me. I feel like I'm giving like a graduation speech. The next offer that I got was Edinburgh University. So they actually gave me an offer on the 26th of February. So there was a large gap between my Oxford offer and my next offer. They gave me an offer of AAA, whereas Oxford and King's College had given me offers of A star and 2 A's. So I was happy I got that offer. So it meant that my firm and my insurance was sorted out, and I was quite happy that they wanted me. I was quite happy that on paper I was a good candidate. So my next offer, my final offer, was Imperial College London. So again, that interview that I left feeling so negative about myself, I actually managed to get an offer of A star 2 A's, and this was on the 5th of March. Looking back in retrospect, I realised that the reason why I felt so negative after my Imperial interview was because I had a fear of failure. I sat my interview after I received my Oxford decision, and my school made such a big deal about it, like they literally published it in the news. I was scared that if I got rejected from Imperial, people would just think that Oxford work was a fluke. And I know you shouldn't care about people's opinion. I try not to, but I kind of do. And I was scared that people would just see me as, oh, this girl who got into Oxford as a fluke. Like, how can she get an offer from Oxford but be rejected from Imperial? I thank God that I actually got that offer, because if I hadn't, I don't know what I would have done. But yeah, it's crazy because out of all my decisions, this was the only decision that I cried for. I didn't even cry for Oxford. I mean, I couldn't cry for that because I was in school and I was just so ecstatic. But Imperial, I literally got home, told my parents, and literally just broke down in tears of joy. Oui, papa! Dominique, papa! So in the end, I managed to receive 5 out of 5 of my offers for medicine. God knows how. So that is my Ucas experience all summed off, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. If you guys want specific Ucas videos on personal statement, videos on work experience, or simply videos on the interview process, just comment it all down in the section below. Just thank you for being here. So yeah, bye bye, and till next time.